Well, welcome to the first in the series. This is what we like to call our West Aussies Abroad, where we take a little bit of a look at some of the guys and girls that are plying their trade overseas. And the first in this series, presented by the Far Post Perth, is with none other than former Glory youth player. He's been doing his thing over there with Fulham. Chris Donnell's with us. Chris, thanks for jumping on board, mate.
No worries, mate. Happy to have a chat.
Mate, let's just rewind the clock a little bit. We'll go back all the way to November in 2021, mate, your Perth Glory debut. It was a bit of a trial by fire, if I remember correctly, mate. Was it the cup game, that really weird cup game that we played against Melbourne Victory, wasn't it, in Adelaide? Was that the one?
Yeah, it was. It was a few of us, obviously, were given a chance in the cup game that day because I think the first team had a tight schedule, either a few days before they had a game or a few days after they had a game as well. So they gave a few of us the chance to go over there and play, and it was a bit weird because it had to be a neutral venue because of COVID. So yeah, it was two teams from either side of Australia playing in South Australia.
Mate, what are your memories of that day, but particularly the feelings around making your first team debut?
Yeah, obviously, it was exciting. It was exciting for all of us because we came through the youth team together. I think the whole starting 11 was pretty much making their debut that day, or 10 out of 11 or something like that. But I think it was cool because obviously we've had a good season together as a youth team in the NPL here, and then we're all making our debuts. But it was obviously a bit weird as well because you're playing a team from Melbourne in South Australia, and there wasn't a lot of people there, obviously, because of a Perth team playing against Melbourne in a mutual venue. But probably didn't really know what to expect, considering that I think it came out a few days before that we were going to play a younger team. But yeah, it was an exciting time, and I think we done ourselves well in the game. Obviously went to penalties and that, and a bit unlucky not to get through, which obviously would have been good for the fans and all of that. But yeah, it was exciting, and I was personally happy with how the boys performed. Would have been better to get through into the next round, but I think we gave a good account for ourselves on the night.
Obviously, we did mention you did come through the Perth Glory Academy, mate. What are some of your fondest memories of coming through that system, mate, and some of the guys and the coaches that you were knocking about with?
Yeah, I think I was really lucky to have such good coaches and such a good progression into making my debut eventually. It started with, I went originally in under 12s and then I left and came back in under 14s with John Wormsley and Brad Hassel, and they were really good for me. Went to Coffs Harbour with them with the state team, and then the next year was Rob, and under 16s was Ant, and then eventually moved into the under 18s with McGarry, and Terry and Richie were doing the reserves and the NPL first team, and they were really good to me. They pushed me a lot, and they took me over to when we went on that big trip over east to Melbourne and played all the teams during COVID. I went over there. I didn't make my debut, but I was on the bench a couple of times, and I just felt like it was a really good progression for me. Stevie, Terry, and Richie were all really good to me. They helped me progress and obviously taught me a lot of what I know now and shaped me into the player I am. And then eventually Ruben and Coyne coming in, I owe a lot of credit to them as well because they gave me my debut. And also it was with them that I went over to Fulham. They helped me get that move over to Fulham with Andy Keogh. So yeah, I was really lucky to have such good coaches, have such a good pathway, because not everybody has that support. But I'm really grateful for that, and also the boys that I came through with as well, like keeping contact with all of them today. So I just enjoyed it. Obviously, when you're young, you have that goal and that dream and ambition of going on and doing bigger and better things. But for me, it was just always going and having fun and training, try to be the best I could be, and pushing myself. Because obviously I knew my ultimate goal, but enjoying it in the moment was something that Perth Glory gave me the opportunity to do.
You started quite young in terms of, playing up a couple of years, if I'm not mistaken. Were you identified, I guess, a little bit earlier than some of the other guys?
I think based on the way that Perth Glory do it with the younger teams, everybody plays a year up until obviously under 18s, and then it depends on how you do in that. So until that age, I was just playing in my regular age group until under 18s, because the year before I actually didn't get into the under 18s team when they took a lot of players from the 15s to the 18s. I stayed back into the under 16s. And then when I went up to the under 18s, played one game, COVID came around. We didn't train for about 3 months. And by the time I came back, I'd put a lot of work in during the off time with COVID and that. And Terry gave me the opportunity in the under 20s. I think I was 15 or 16.
Yeah.
And then the week after, I made my debut in the men's NPL with Richie. So that happened a bit quick after a few years of it was a little bit tough for me growing with my body and that. I wasn't really progressing like everybody else was. So that was a little bit tough, but then it kind of clicked and it all happened. And then there was talks about the Australia youth teams and things like that. So yeah, it happened a bit quickly. But I would say as well, there was a lot of boys who'd done it before me, like Jaden Leader, Josh Rollins, Trent Osler, and that Ali as well. They were really young when they started to go into the first team NPL environment and even training with the first team. So yeah, I was quite young going into that environment, but I don't think I was the first person to do it at Glory.
Do you feel it's, I mean, obviously with that setup that you are going up against bigger bodies and there is that kind of age restriction on the A-League academies in the fact that they do only operate under 23 model, do you feel that's advantageous to be going up against those bigger bodies at a young age? I guess it's almost a little bit of a sink or swim when it comes to the physicality, isn't it?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think it's the best thing for you because you can go and play youth team games and stuff, but also there's only one team in Perth, and because of the travel restrictions and that, with the NYL stopping, it would mean you're not really playing. If you're playing in your own age group, you're not really challenging yourself a lot. So I think going up and playing against the men in the first team is the best thing for you, and we learned a lot of lessons, to be honest, by overplaying. There's probably a lot of people out there that will say oh, Perth Glory are good, but they play around too much. They lose the ball in silly places, and I think that just grows. That just adds to your learning. Dealing with there were times in games where we had all the possession, we got beat 3 or 4-0 because moments like corners or free kicks or teams going direct. You need to learn how to play like that, because when you go into professional football, it's not all just nice, pretty stuff. You have to deal with the other side of the game as well. So I think it's huge in terms of that, and it's something that we definitely learn from and put us in good stead for going forward.
Just to reflect, I mean, I've seen a few Perth Glory Academy games this year. You might be a little bit more removed, but it seems like over the years there's a little bit more maturity to a lot of these sides. I think when that Academy side first happened, there was a lot of, hey, let's just get rid of this ball because I've got a big body coming that's about to crunch me, rather than, hey, you're going to be okay, you're not made of glass. There's a little bit more maturity in the way that it plays. And did you feel like that was something that evolved while you were at the academy system?
Yeah, definitely. I think Richard Garcia and Stevie and Terry, obviously coming from a background of playing in Europe, playing in the A-League a lot, they know that there's two sides to the game, and they were always very clear on that. And the same with Coyne and Ruben. We had a great season that year under Ruben in the NPL, and I think that was a big part of our game. Was nobody was going to bully us, nobody was going to come and turn us over in that way. But also you don't want to lose your identity of being a team that plays nice football. But I think it definitely evolved from maybe where it started. Obviously I was really young when they were starting in that setup, but from when I was there, it was always, you go into this game, you try to play as well as you can on the ball, but if you need to find a way to win other than that, you do it, and you don't let people run over you, don't get bullied, you give as good as you get.
Mate, in 2023, July, I think it was, mate, you made the move over there to English Premier League club Fulham. Am I right in saying you went over there and trialled?
Yeah, so I went over there and trialled in the February of 23, and about 2-3 week trial, and then I went over and signed in the July. So yeah, I went over a little trial period before.
How does, just from the outside looking in, mate, I'm always fascinated to know how these kind of opportunities arise, mate. How did that, was there an expression of interest? Did you put the feelers out yourself? How did that opportunity come about?
Nah, there was, I was running out of contract at Perth Glory, and Andy and Joe gave me the opportunity to go over. There was a few teams to go to, Fulham being the first one. Joe Gallen, by the way.
Yep.
Fulham was the first team, and I just enjoyed it there, and they really liked me. So I thought, why go somewhere else and risk Fulham saying, "Oh, no, we don't care about it anymore"? So I went to Fulham and enjoyed it. Had a good trial, and then they expressed interest for me to go and sign if the deal was right, if the move was right.
Take us through the feeling, mate, when that bit of paperwork came through to sign.
I think it was like a bit overwhelmed and also just relieved a little bit, because between February and July is quite a long time in football. Every day you're thinking about it, like, is it going to come through or not? With a youth team player, there's a lot of stuff to make sure happens before the signature happens. So I was just hoping and praying that it was gonna come through. And then Andy sent me a message and said, like, come say bye to the boys and stuff and get your bag, get all your things, because all the paperwork came through. And yeah, I was just buzzing to get over there and test myself against, obviously, the best of the best.
Mate, you're quite close to your family, I'm fairly certain, mate. And how did you sum up, I guess, this fantastic opportunity on the other side of the world, and then also, deal with missing home?
Yeah, I think obviously being close to my family, I'm really blessed about that. And they were all buzzing for me, to be honest, because since I can remember, it's been my goal to play at the highest level I can. And they just want what's best for me, to be honest. So they were all buzzing for me. Come from a very big footballing family in terms of everybody loves it. Everybody's always watching it, supporting it. So yeah, they were really excited for me. And then moving over there, everybody's obviously a little bit. It's hard, but when you realise it's the best thing for you, you have to make those sacrifices. And yeah, to be honest, I was in digs over there in London, and living with the boys and always having like people to talk to, always having something to do. I think that helped me a lot. Maybe if I went over and I lived on my own, it could have been a little bit more lonely, a little bit more difficult for me to deal with that. But to be honest, I was just enjoying my football. I was playing obviously every week, so that distracted me a little bit from the fact of missing my family. But coming home is obviously the best thing to come and see everybody, and yeah, it's good to catch up.
Mate, despite being one of the biggest cities in the world with some of the most people in the world, London can be a little bit of a lonely place at times, mate, as I've been it and seen it and done it myself, mate. How did you feel you settled in, I guess, culturally, professionally? You mentioned there that you were living with a few other lads, but ultimately, mate, how was the experience away from football?
Yeah, it was amazing, to be honest. As you say, a big city, one of the biggest in the world. And it is weird because there's so many people, but there's not a lot of interaction sometimes because everybody's so busy and doing what they're doing. Like, everybody's just focused on what they need to do. But I think for a young person, probably the best place to be in terms of opportunities. There's always things going on. Whenever somebody, like, whether it's a musician or whatever, they're always going to visit London, so there's always things going on. And it just opened my eyes to see and really getting out of my comfort zone of coming from a smaller city with a lot more chilled and laid back. I think just going and experiencing new things, and yeah, as you said, living life outside of football as well. I think for me, the best thing I ever could do was to move out of my environment of being at home, because you obviously grow as a footballer and as a person. And also over there, it's a lot more cutthroat in terms of the football and that, and getting used to that ruthlessness and that 100 miles an hour I think it puts you in good stead. And yeah, and I love the city of London. I love it there, and it's a place that I'd always go and visit. People that I've met there, places I've been. Yeah, it's been a good time.
You went into the under-21s and the through the academy there, mate. Well, I mean, what's the interactions like with the first team? Did you have any mentors, or did you have much interactions with some of those first team players at all?
Not too many, like not daily, but yeah, when you go up, you can tell like they're not just good professionals or good footballers, they're good people as well. And I think that's something that maybe is a bit misled. Looking at footballers, a lot of people think they're arrogant or a bit like above their station, but genuinely when you talk to them, a lot of them are just so level-headed. They'll help you, and especially in international breaks, because Fulham have a really big squad, so when their players aren't injured, they don't really take anybody up. But in the international breaks and stuff, a few of us would go up and train for like 2 or 3 weeks. And for me as a midfielder, I would speak to like Harrison Reed and Tom Kearney and that. Players like that. Obviously, there's very good midfielders there as well, but because of the language barrier and stuff, it's a bit hard. But Harrison Reed is always open to have a conversation, give you a bit of advice when you need it, and just training with players like midfielders like Andres Pereira, Smith Rowe, and that. It's mad to compare yourself to them, and sometimes you're on the ball and they're coming up to you, or they've got the ball and you try to tackle them, and it like sinks in what you're doing. But yeah, it was a good opportunity and a good experience to train with them, and definitely learn a lot from it.
Mate, I want to take you back to November 2023, mate. A hat trick, a 9-minute hat trick, I believe, against Burnley in the cup. Take us through that day, mate.
Yeah, so the week before we played in a game, and like I'd played really well, and I was starting up until that game as well. And the gaffer said he wasn't going to start me because it was a cup game and he wanted to rest me. But you never really know in football if that is the real reason or not. So I was a little bit like pissed off, to be honest. But then obviously, like we were winning by a big margin anyways when I came on, and I probably wasn't even thinking too much about it because I was a bit pissed off still. So just I don't really know what to say. It just happened as soon as I came on the pitch. I scored within 2 minutes, and then 2 minutes later I was through on goal again. And then there was a corner, and I was like, yeah, you just know when it's your day, because I probably hadn't scored a hat trick since I was under 10s or 11s. So when that corner came in, I just knew it was going to come to me, and it was probably the easiest hat trick you could ever see. 3 little tap-ins, but yeah, it was mad. I didn't know how quickly it happened. It was mad to see that. It doesn't really matter how the goals go in as long as they do, especially when it's that quick. So yeah, it was a bit of a mad game, mad day.
You were playing with the 21s there at Fulham, and a little bit later on, mate, you got a loan move up there to the Scottish Championship side to play with Airdrieonians. Yeah. Mate, how did that come about? And I guess what was the purpose of that loan signing?
There was a few teams actually in League One, League Two. Me when he was at Forest Green with some of them stuff from League One and that, but it just didn't materialise quick enough, and there was only a few days left of the window, and Airdrie was there from the start of the window till about obviously the end during January. So there was 3 days left, and I was just thinking to myself, because I'd already came from playing first team football at Perth Glory, I'd done a good 6 months of academy football at 21s at Fulham. I felt like I'd built my name up there and done well and made good impressions. I just thought the next step again was to go and play men's football again, get back into that environment. Because the thing with academy football is like the team changes a lot. It doesn't really feel like a proper team. It's like obviously everybody's just trying to push to get that to break through and stuff. So I think I wanted to get back into that first team environment where results really matter every week. People's like jobs and that are on the line. So yeah, and then a lot of people maybe come and watch that first team football and then get a move off of that again. So I went up to Airdrie, Scottish Championship, and they were doing really well at the time when I went up, pushing for playoffs to get promotion. Went up, First game was the semi-final in the League Cup. We won, and then we ended up winning the League Cup the month later, which was a really good experience. It was the first like proper trophy Airdrie had won in a long time, apart from like promotion the year before. So it was a really good day out. The fans enjoyed it and that, and then we got to the playoff semi-final and got beat in the second leg. But it was a good experience for me, and it's one I'm grateful for. I probably wish I did play a few more minutes, but that's football. At the end of the day, you need to take that on the chin and learn from it and improve from it. So yeah.
Obviously, we did talk about being so far away from home, but I guess up there in Scotland, you did have a bit of family, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I got like majority of my extended family's up there. My nan, aunties, uncles, loads of cousins and stuff. So it was good to be up there, and it was cool because at Fulham there was nobody ever coming to watch my games because obviously all my family's here or Scotland. But then when I was at Airdrie, everybody was coming. It was cool to play in front of my family and friends that I hadn't played in front of in a long time because of living in Australia, and that was a really cool experience. I hadn't lived there since I left 20 years ago, so it was good to live with my family over there again. And yeah.
Chris, what have you found have been some of the biggest challenges over your, I guess, professional career so far?
I think you realise in football a lot of times that decisions made on you or the team or whatever aren't always based on performances and ability and what you do on the pitch. A lot of the time there's some politics and stuff that come into it. There's other people's opinions that come into it, and I think dealing with that, it is frustrating at the time, but you need to, in terms of football, because you need to know how the game works off the pitch as much as it does on the pitch. So I think being consistent every day, no matter what's going on around you, whether you're in favour or you're not in favour, whether you're playing well or not playing well, just doing the right things and not feeling sorry for yourself, not letting yourself feel like a victim. I think that's something that is important for me, especially not having like a lot of family and that around. Sometimes you can frustrate yourself a little bit or get yourself down, but for me, I've been really lucky. I've had a really good time over there and I've enjoyed it a lot, and I think individually as a person, that stuff just motivates me to go more, to do better, to prove people wrong. So yeah, that's what I would say, just dealing with the stuff, part of football, but off the pitch as well. Do you know what I mean?
We did mention that you're very close to your family, mate, but I guess there's also agents, coaches, teammates, and everyone around in that support network, mate. Who are some of the people that you go to for a little bit of guidance and advice and support?
Yeah, obviously I said before that I lived in Diggs, so there was 4 of us there last year, 3 of us this year. And in football, it's very rare that you get a problem that nobody else has faced before. So talking to the boys is always good for you. You see how they've dealt with it before, or if they need something from you, they do the same. Agents as well, that's what they're there for. At the end of the day, it's not always just to get you to move, but support you through everything, whether it's you getting an apartment, whether it's you getting your car insurance or whatever, they can help with that stuff. And then all the coaches at Fulham, to be honest, helped me a lot in terms of settling in. I think they gave me a lot of confidence to go out and play and show what I can do and be free and express myself. So yeah, it was a good environment around me.
Did you come across any other fellow Aussies or West Australians when you were over there, mate?
Tyrese Francois was at Fulham. He was in the first team.
Oh yes, of course.
I spoke to him a few times. Daniel Benny just moved over to QPR last season, obviously. Caught up with him a few times when I was over there, and we played like a friendly against Luton, and Liam Coyne was playing, and then there would have been a few more. Can't think of the top of my head just now, but yeah, loads of Australians. Boy Marcus, we played against him for PSV. I think he was at Wanderers. He was at Marcus Eunice.
Yep.
So played against him at PSV, and yeah, that you realise how small the football world is.
It seems to be a very good time, mate. I don't know how much you keep an eye on what's happening over here in Oz, but it seems to be a pretty good time for harnessing some of this young talent and opportunities and getting some more eyes on the young talent coming through the Australian ranks. But I think that's a little bit more by necessity than design, just the way that the A-League's going at the moment. But it's got to be promising for even someone like yourself to be able to watch from afar.
Yeah, I think the boys that have been in the A-League over the past few years, they've obviously opened up that window. They've done really well to go out and get moves. And I think now there's a lot more eyes on not only just Australia, but the rest of the world in terms of even America and places like that. They're starting to gather a lot more respect than what they probably had 5-10 years ago. And I think that's obviously just going to help in the future more. The more people that go over, the more people that do well, the more eyes that come onto the game, and that's the best thing for the league in general, because that's probably all the A-League is lacking, is the consistent big crowds, the consistent eyes on the game, and then I think the quality is there of the league. So yeah, the more eyes that are on it, the better it is for growing the league, not just domestically, but globally. So, yeah.
While you were at Fulham, mate, you were given the captain's armband there last season. Is leadership something that you work on? Is it something that comes naturally? I mean, how did you feel with that responsibility for the captaincy?
Yeah, I think leadership has always been something that's came quite naturally to me, but always something that you can look to improve on and get better at, because there's going to be situations that are new to you, situations that you need to learn from. And I think just being consistent is something that is important to me, not just in performances, but in how you are and how you treat everybody, not just having your friends and then treating everybody differently. You have to welcome differences in people as well. And a part of it that I enjoyed a lot was the fact that if there's a problem in the team, if there's a problem with an individual, it doesn't need to go to the coach, it doesn't need to go to higher above. We can sort it with us. They gave us that trust, they gave us that authority to deal with it yourself. And it's better when it happens like that. It doesn't need to go anything more. Just deal with it there. And there was situations that I learned from it that can help me in the future dealing with certain situations and that. But it's something that I really enjoy doing. I really enjoy being somebody that people can rely on and count on, and being given that extra bit of, not pressure, but belief as well from the outside. And yeah, I enjoy when games are hard, when there's tough situations that people look to you. I think that's something that has helped me grow and hopefully will continue to do so.
Mate, you've represented Australia at youth level, I think under 20s and 23s. What does that mean, mate, to pull on the national team jersey? And also, I mean, what are your aspirations look like as far as your international football goes in the future?
I think it's always a good honour. It's always an honour to pull on the jersey, no matter if it's a friendly or if it's a competitive game. And the fact that you never know when your last time is, I think that pushes you to always perform. And being under Trevor Morgan in the 20s and playing in the Asian Cup, that was a really good experience. We played against Uzbekistan in the quarter-final, and there was 40,000 there. And it was a really good experience. It feels like a first-team game. But yeah, it's an honour every time. And as for aspirations go, I think you always have to dream big and aim for as high as you can go. And I think you've seen people over this last year or so get into the Socceroos team that maybe at the start of the season you would never even have thought of. So for me, my dream is to play in a World Cup. And obviously there's one in a year's time. There's a lot of people going really well. There's a lot of midfielders that are playing really well in the Socceroos team, but I think you have to be a bit delusional in terms of what you aim for. So that's the goal, and if I can get anything close to that, I know I've done well.
Is there still contact made within the powers that be within the national teams?
Yeah, of course there is. There's always 23s camps. There's always things like that. And keeping in touch with the boys that I've played with, the coaches and the physios always checking up on you to make sure that your body's fine if you are in contention for the next camp coming up. So yeah.
Mate, I do have to ask just before we let you go. Obviously, your time at Fulham has concluded, at least for now. What does the future and the immediate future look like for Chris Donnell?
Yeah, I'm very grateful to everything that happened at Fulham, but it's time to move on to a new challenge, a new chapter now. And to be honest, I'm not 100% sure on what that looks like just now, but hoping to get more clarity in that in the next few days, few weeks, to try and get myself back into that environment before the season starts. But not 100% sure just now. Still looking. There's still a few options. Agents are still talking to people and things like that. So it's just about making the right decision, the right one for me, the right one for how me and my friends and family and agents believe is going to put me in the best stead for the future. So a lot of big decisions to be made, but I'm grateful that I'm in this position and that's what I get to do.
Mate, I'm sure plenty of clubs around the A-League or even overseas or whatever that might look like, mate, would snap you up in an instant. So we certainly wish you all the best with it. And, thanks for giving us a little bit of time on our West Aussies Abroad.
Thank you very much, mate. I appreciate it. Have a good one.